Hello, hello everybody. I know I look weird today. Like my face is blue and I don't know, the lighting is weird. I think it might be cloudy outside. So anyway, and I know I probably look like I just woke up from a nap because I did. So yeah, I was getting ready to come hang out with you guys and I was like, okay, I just need 10 minutes. And so I laid back on the couch and we were listening to a podcast and I just started, oh, I guess I'm going to take a nap. And then I realized, no, I can't take a nap. So, okay. So I am a little bit out of it right now. So how is everybody? This is our last actual viewing party for a couple of weeks. Yes, we will continue to do this every week like we have been. But we just won't have a specific video to go over. So we'll figure something else out in the meantime for the next couple of weeks. Yeah, so far my it's not a vacation, guys. Don't feel like I'm on a big break. Like I'm getting all kind of relaxation and all of that. That's not the case. I'm just not broadcasting for a couple of weeks, which is kind of nice because the things that I do on a regular basis, I can take a little bit more time and put a little bit more energy into them without having to work at such a frantic pace. But yeah, I did almost take a nap in the middle of the day today, but I promise I am working every day, just like normal. And so hello, everyone who made it. Oh, look at that. Tan's even here in the middle of the night on her anniversary vacation. That's very nice, and I appreciate everybody being here. Looks like we've got the Regs, we've got Deb, Vince, of course, Eileen, Gretchen, Lisa, Pat. Who else am I missing? Since I'm just getting here, I'm pretty sure I'm missing someone else. Anyway, yeah, so last week we did the rainbow sky with the Lovebirds. So I know, again, clouds. We had people really unhappy with clouds. So I'm sure that we are going to spend some time focusing on that today, and I am set up for some demos. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started on that. So here is, let me click over to here so I can see it. And I'll show you guys some of the things that I've been working on this week and a couple other things that are happening that I'm pretty excited about. So here is our painting that we did last week. Whoa, man, that's like start your eyeballs on fire. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and I want you guys to kind of give me some feedback, about how you felt with the part, was kind of the colors in the background. I know that typically when we do this scrubbing technique, we're using either two colors or colors that are very, very close together and it doesn't really matter how they blend. But here we actually used colors that are completely different from each other, and I believe that's the first time that we've done that. So I would kind of like to know what issues did you guys have in blending different colors together? I remember that I said, don't be afraid to get those colors beyond each other. Take that first color down really far, take the next color over, really weave them together. Otherwise, you're going to end up, with a line where those two meet. And I did see a couple of those. Nobody, obviously I can't remember who specifically, and I wouldn't call you out if I did. But I did see a couple where it was very striped. This color ended and this color began. So tell me about your experience with that, and we can go over that and do some demos if you like with that. 10 likes to paint clouds. Good, good. Nobody has anything? I rambled forever to give you time to ask questions. Are we not into it? Are we not into questions today? Is there something else you guys want to talk about? We will talk about whatever you want to talk about if you don't want to talk about making clouds. Pat, I just had to be persistent with blending. Took time, but it was worth it. Good. Deb says, I played with darker jewel tones and the blending was delicious. I didn't have any trouble with that if I started far enough out. Exactly. That's the point that I'm always making there. Start outside of the color you left off on, because if you start right at it, man, you're going to have a hard time. Gretchen, I found that I had to use very light brush pressure on the blending and be quick so it didn't mud. Yes, you have to use very, very light pressure. Very light pressure. Remember, guys, I can't stress this enough. You know, I stress it all the time, but we always come back to it. So I cannot stress it enough. Pressure is everything. If you have a load of paint and you put light pressure, you're going to kind of dust and blend. But if you put heavy pressure, you're going to and squish a bunch of that paint out onto your canvas there. Pressure is so much, so much. And I would say a huge portion of the time when people are showing me their paintings, particularly clouds, and they're saying, oh, I hate it, I can tell by looking at it, you used way too much pressure and or paint, but pressure. Pressure is everything. Eileen used watercolor paper and let the colors fade so the next color fuzzed into the prior one. Yes. And that's what I was showing you when I did the, like in the pink, the very first one, where I was doing the pink, you know, with my half foot pressure like that. And then when I was done, I went flat foot pressure and scrubbed it way out to get that super fuzz. I know that kind of seemed like maybe that didn't make any difference. I was just going to paint over it with orange anyway. But it makes a huge difference. A huge, huge difference. So don't be afraid to do your pressure there and fuzz. Fuzz, fuzz, fuzz. Get that color to completely dissipate before you try and add the next color. Good. Pat likes the foot positions. Descriptions. Good. Deb needs to work on pressure and control with the round brushes. So Deb, get a junk canvas and just do it. Don't try to paint something particular. Just make a line. The same line over and over and over and over and over. And each time just focus on the control, the pressure, you know, everything about how you use your brush. That's how you're really going to get the handle up on that. Somebody used inks for this. That would be cool. I'd be interested in seeing that. Did anybody do... I haven't been around much this week. I know, I'm bad. That was one of my goals, being off of broadcasting, was being into my social media every single day, but it's just been so hard. Did anybody do the background completely different colors, or... All of the ones I saw were pretty much the same as what I did, but I'm interested in, you know, if you guys did things different. I want to hear about that. Yeah, Mr. Moon is meowing. He's been a jerk today. He was biting me, and he's biting my foot, which hurts because he's mean. He forgets that I brought him into this world, and, well, I wouldn't take him out of it, but I'd be tempted to consider it. All right, guys, what do you want to talk about? You tell me what you want to talk about. You tell me. And then I'll show you some of the things I've been working on, but not for a little while. Not until a bit later. Nobody wants to talk about anything. I feel so lonely right now. I don't think I've ever felt so lonely. We're not going to talk about brushes right now. I mean, unless you have questions about specific brushes. How do I know where to put highlights? Katrina, girlfriend, you know that answer. How about you tell us, Katrina, where do you put your highlights? Pat says, my flowers faded into the background. So without seeing it, it's hard to know really, Pat. If your background was really pale in the first place, that could happen. What brand of white paint are you using? Because some white paint, some brands dry more transparent. That could be part of it. I've also found that if your background isn't completely dry, when you add white on top of it, that the white does kind of absorb some of the pigment under it, and it seems to kind of fade into the background. Donna says, I think I use too much paint on clouds, but I don't get the nice white tips. So, I mean, Donna, that could be, sorry guys, that's my microphone. That could be due to so many things. That could be due to you spreading the paint too thin. Again, if the color under it is still quite wet, it can absorb it. If your brush isn't clean, what kind of paint you're using. So I would have to see it. If you have an example, post it in the Jams group and tag me in it. And I'll come look at it and see if I can offer any solutions. Also, make sure to let me know what brand of paint you were using. Because if it was Liquitex, then, you know, that kind of helps me narrow it down. If it was something like Artist Loft, that's probably part of the problem. The Artist Loft white paint, I remember using it a while back, and it's super transparent as it dries. Super, super transparent. That's right, Katrina, wherever you want them. Deb's glad the old Filbert wasn't retired. Nope. It'll be a long time before that old Filbert's retired. You had an old angle brush? Oh, in the Raven video. I still have that brush. I have not thrown it away. I might have cut it. I like to cut brushes after a while. Oh, it was the Heavy Body Liquitex. So, yeah, do tag me in that and show me, Pat. I want to see that. Gretchen, I still have trouble with my brush dragging on canvas. Is it too dry or cheap canvas? It could be both. It could be, I'm going to say that right off the bat, it's too dry. If your canvas is very toothy, like if you add gesso to it, that can affect it. So like last week, you probably saw me using a lot more water than I typically do because my canvas was gessoed. And like when I was doing branches, I was trying to do a little bit of detail work. And so I did have to use my paint wetter, otherwise I would get that drag. So yeah, if you're getting drag, I would say your immediate fix to that is to just either use matte medium or a little bit of extra water. If you feel like it's the canvas, then maybe a coat of gesso and a light sanding, or even a couple heavy coats of matte medium. That can really help kind of even out that texture and smooth down the tooth. Maybe I need to clean my brush more if the paint seems to get sticky. I don't know that that really has anything to do with it, because I do a lot of painting where, particularly when I'm layering, where I won't get any water on my brush for a long time and not clean off my brush, practically using a dry brush with almost no paint on it and just dry brushing. And after, a while, I'll get a tiny point of water on my brush and everything just, smooths right out. So I don't think necessarily washing your brush has anything to do with it. Tan, are you asking about this week's painting? Is Heavy Body or Basics better for it? It really doesn't matter. I even said in the video this week that You know, whatever you have is great. Even if you're using craft paint, it could be fun with watercolor. It's a pretty simple painting that I think any type of paint will work with. I did use heavy body, but I talk about that in the video. It's only because that's really, you know, what I'm narrowed down to right now. I'm running out a lot of my other paints. Yeah, I did use the Basics black specifically in this one, as Pat said. I started out getting the heavy body paint, but on a gessoed surface where it's so dry, I felt like the heavy paint, I was going to have to use a lot more water. So I went down to the Basics because it's already a little bit thinner. It's just a little bit easier to work with on some of those thin branches without having to water it down too much. So that's the only paint that I used specifically, Basics or heavy body, because of its properties. I could have done the whole thing in Basics, really. What else we got, folks? I can't jump right into what I've been working on in the first 20 minutes. Let's go over again cloud tops, because I know I saw at least one person who was quite upset at their cloud tops. So I want to go over that. They almost seemed like they were angry at me for it, and I felt bad about that. So let's do it. I'm going to get, well, God, let's see. I'm trying to pick a color that's opaque, but we'll just use black. Black and white. A little bit of black. Where's my white? If you guys saw my table that I'm working off of right now, you'd be like, whoa, messy. It's insane. This thing is crazy. I cleared off this one nice little space to paint in so that the camera can look down and not see a catastrophe. But yeah, my workbench is a nightmare. I've been painting a lot over the last couple of days, so it seems like, you know, I don't really want to go clean it up just to mess it up again. So let's go whoopsh, to there. Okay. So yeah, again, I'm still using those old, the canvases from the chromatic black video that we did, like a year ago. In fact, that was my first video that I did in my studio. All right, let me jump over to here. And, oh, nice. Pat had a lot of compliments and already gave it away. Well, that's great, Pat. Okay, so I've got my cloud brush, my number 12, and it is dry. And I'm just going to mix up kind of a medium gray. Now, one of the important things here, guys, and maybe I've never explained this to you before. One of the important things with doing your cloud tops is that your brush already has paint on it. That's going to help make your clouds so much easier. If you're using a clean brush, I think you'll have a little bit of a harder time blending, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to get that color loaded up on there, you know, a bit, and we'll come over here. We'll just lay that in there so I've got a little area where I can do some cloud tops. Not worried about what that looks like. Ooh. Okay. Now, I still have this color on my brush, okay? That means, because when I go to do the clouds, I go half foot pressure, right? When I'm doing the cloud tops, that's about the pressure that I'm doing as I'm putting the cloud tops on. Notice this gray color is touching the canvas. So that means it's touching the canvas down here, but up here is only going to be the white paint, right? Let me see if I can zip you in there a little bit more. So where my brush touches here, this gray color is touching the canvas. Where my brush touches up here, I'll have white paint, and that's going to be my cloud top. So this part that is already this color touching the canvas is going to help take that white and spread it down to blend it in. All right, that's really important. every time I see somebody who says that they don't like their clouds and they've got worms, it looks to me like they're kind of using tiptoe and doing like that. So I'll show you both. So I'm getting a tiny bit of white. That's another thing, guys. I know we stress this so often, and it's because it doesn't matter how many times I say it. I still see it. That is not a ton of paint. There's no blob of paint there. So I'm going to come onto my canvas, 1/2 foot pressure. See how it kind of squishes that white toward the tip? See that? And nudge. See how the bottom edge is already faded out, but the top has the white. All right, let's do that again. And like I said before, we have the spot that has the white paint on it, the other side that doesn't really. So you can start with the edge. So you've got 1/2 white paint on, 1/2 white paint off. Still nudge it, still 1/2 foot pressure. Push it in that direction that you want to go, and that bottom edge automatically fuzzes out. There's no worm. Now let me show you what I think. I may have shown you this already. This is how it appears to me that worms are made. I could be wrong. If anyone here makes worms, let me know if I'm doing it right or wrong. Okay, I'm going to get my white paint. And I'm pretty sure that people always pick up way too much paint. See how you can see, where are we? There we are. See how you can see my paint kind of poking off of the tip of my brush? That's a pretty good indicator that I have way too much paint. Your paint should not poke up off of your brush. Anyway, I'm pretty sure they do that. And then hold their brush about like this. About like that. And then I think they go like that, and then they don't know what to do. They kind of like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Well, even if you do accidentally make a worm, you can still go 1/2 foot pressure and nudge it. Nudge it in a different direction. Look at that. No more worm, folks. I took care of that worm. Okay, so I ranted about worms again. Let's see if I answered anyone's questions or if I just made you have more questions. Let's see. Did I paint that painting behind me? There's a paint. Oh, on the wall over there. It's not a painting. It's a photograph. And I did not take it. It's a photo printed on a canvas. I could do these clouds all day. Good, good, good. I'm so glad to hear that, Deb. Good, you guys. Clouds, they're really not hard. So I think that we get a mental block about clouds, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I think we focus too much on making clouds. You know, this has to look like a cloud. Well, it really doesn't. Take a dark color, scribble it in nice and soft, take a light color, 1/2 foot pressure, nudge it at the top, and that's really all there is to it. Just don't overthink clouds. That's what makes clouds so much harder. But I had to get it right away to fix the worm. To blend that out, sure. But if I didn't, then I mix up my darker color again after it dries and I scrub over it. So okay, there's another worm. We'll let that worm dry, okay? And when it's dry, I will cover it up. That's the other thing that I'm always telling you guys. We're always afraid. We're afraid to do certain things and try certain things because we don't know how to fix it if we mess it up. You know, we're afraid that if we do something like that, that is the end of the world and, you know, you can kiss that painting goodbye because you just messed it up. But, you know, you have to figure out how to correct things. And There's two good ways to figure out how to correct things. The first one is to do ugly things. That is an ugly thing. So I encourage you, get a canvas, make a bunch of worms, and try and cover them up. That's an ugly thing. So perfect. You've already taken the first step toward learning how to fix things. The next thing you have to do is not be afraid to try to fix it. If let's say that I mess this up and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is horrible. I'm going to have to start over. Okay, well, if I've already decided I have to start over because this looks like junk, then why not try and fix that? If I already have to start it over, how does it hurt to try and fix that? In fact, I think you do yourself a disservice to not try to fix it, because you're never going to learn how to fix it if you don't at least try. I mean, if you're already going to paint over it, spend a few minutes working on that. You might actually fix it and then not have to paint over it, but you don't know unless you try. So do some ugly things and then fix them. That's how you get over your fear of trying things when you're painting. It's the scrubbing that's tiring, Tan. I know, man. My arm gets tired so often. It wasn't too bad this last week, and I think it was because I was working in smaller sections and I would take breaks to, wash my brush. But man, when I'm covering like a really large canvas, oh yeah, I'll get a section done like that, and I have to stop, and I'm like, I'm like stretching my arms, and yeah, it's very tiring. Sometimes I feel like I have to start going to the gym and pumping iron just so I can scrub without getting exhausted. Aw, thanks, Gretchen. That makes me happy. Did this help anybody with clouds? I really hope so. I know I wish the one person who was angry at me, well, I don't think they were angry at me, but they really did not like their clouds. I wish that they were here because I feel like this might have helped. Is that dry yet? It's so hot right now, you guys. Ugh, I'm so done with summer. But I mean, the one good thing is my paint dries quick, so that's almost dry. It's a little tacky. If I even scrub it with this brush that's almost dry, it will scrub that paint up. So we'll let it for just a minute more, and then I'll cover it up. I'll fix it. Very helpful. Good, you guys. Donna's going to practice more. Good. Gretchen, I can learn every time you talk clouds. Well, that's good, because we talk clouds a lot. I guess that's kind of becoming like my one thing that I do a lot of and am known for is clouds. Summer starts next week. I know, thanks. It's horrible. The other day I went online and I was like, I'm going to be feisty and I'm going to put like one of those countdown clocks on my Facebook page because, I'm one of the few people who hates summer. Everybody loves it. I thought, I'm going to put a countdown thing on my Facebook page that counts down how many days until fall. And I depressed myself because I entered the date into the countdown website and it was still like 100 days away. And I thought, I can't put that on my Facebook page because then I'll just be depressed every day. And I still have like more than 3 months to go. Ugh, it's awful. The picture-in-picture provides a view of your arm movements, and that's been a big help. Good. I'm really glad to hear that. Good, you guys. And I'm sorry, I keep like smashing my microphone today. I don't know what's going on with that. Oh yeah, Emmy, it's midwinter there, enjoying not being hot and sweaty. Yeah, see, I need to start like summering in Australia and then wintering here. Because I don't think I could do a summer in Australia. The bugs would, I wouldn't handle the spiders, but yeah, I could do winter year round if it meant not having to deal with summer. That would be okay. Yeah, Eileen says, I think we make it harder than it is. I think so too. But I also think that sometimes, no matter how often I say, don't get too much paint, don't use too much pressure, there's people out there who are just like, this huge chunk of paint and, you know, all over their canvas. And then they're like, I don't like my clouds. Like, remember when I said not to use too much paint? See that paint that's all over? So, yeah, sometimes I think it boils down to that, but maybe not. Are you pleased with your live sessions? Over 350 people? Yeah, that's really awesome. I honestly had no idea what to expect. In fact, I think every public live has gone over 400 people for a minute. So, yeah, that's really exciting for me. I don't know, I don't know anything different. I don't know how many I was expecting, but I know that I was surprised by that many. So, yeah. And hopefully, it just keeps going up and up and up. I'm already really looking forward to coming back in July. So, let's just get that out on the table right now. I don't want any of you guys thinking, this is her way of not coming back, right? Just saying she's coming back and then not. But no, in fact, this morning I thought, yeah, but I mean, I'm the boss. I could come back early if I wanted to. And then I thought, okay, but you don't really want to because you're doing some things that you don't have the time to do right now when you're broadcasting. So you need to enjoy that and keep working on that. So, but yeah, I am really looking forward to coming back and doing more lives. And yeah, so you need an emoji for that sound. For which sound? The all right, I'll see what I can come up with. Oh, Emmy, I am on my way. Australia, here I come. Heck yeah. Ooh, -50, Katrina. Where the heck do you live? Mars? That sounds horrible. Do a rain painting during your summer. Might cool you down. Tan? That's a brilliant idea. Brilliant. Yeah, see, Gretchen? If I don't come back, you know where I live. I'm running out of paints. Who's running out of paint? Me? Probably. Oh, the challenges. Well, Lisa, I hope that you are able to get some time to do that. Guys, I have actually been working on my challenge. I know I told you guys to, stay on top of it and bug me. Let's go back over to here because we're not doing demos again for a minute. I told you to stay on top of it and bug me if I don't post my challenge pieces. And I actually have been making art every day. I just need to post them. So I will show you what I've been working on. And let's see. It's going to look awful because of the way my room is lit today. So this was the first piece that I did, and I know that I had zero intentions when I went into this, and then I kind of just got lost in the groove of it and came up with something that I really like. I have a really soft spot for abstract, and I know a lot of you guys just don't. You're like, when it comes to abstract. I really enjoy abstract, and I love painting it. So here is a little abstract that I did. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, that looks awful. Let's go back to our camera. There. So here's a little abstract that I did, and I really loved painting this. And I really like how simple it is, and that's something, as I started going, that was my goal, was to really do something that was very simple. And so I wanted to leave a lot of negative space, up in this area, and we've got some here and here, and I mainly focused on contrasting colors and things like that. So I did this one, and let's see. Oh, Manitoba, Canada. Yeah, that sounds pretty cold. Let's see, what else did I do? Over here, I've got a piece. This one, oh, I can show you this too, even though this is technically not art, but it, you know, unintentional art can be art, right? So there is an artist who I'm sure you guys, everybody's been on Pinterest before. There's a guy on Pinterest whose art I see all the time, and I really love it. And so I wanted to paint something that was kind of inspired by his style, but is not like a copy. I did not copy one of his images. I just kind of took elements of his style. And I think, I could be wrong, I'll have to look. I think his name is Harold Braun. So don't judge my magpie, because I know it kind of has a head of a hummingbird, but I don't really care. So I did this one the other day. We have a lot of magpies here, and they're like one of my favorite birds. His head is way too green. So maybe I'll fix that. Maybe I won't. But yeah, anyway, there's my little magpie that I did. And can we do another abstract tutorial? You know what, you guys? I get asked for abstract tutorials constantly, and then I do them, and nobody likes them. Nobody watches them. They get thumbs down all over the place. People complain. I mean, like, I love abstract, but the backlash whenever I do an abstract video is hard. So it's really strange to me that I keep getting begged for abstract, and then I do it, and everybody complains that I did abstract. So, yeah, so this is my little magpie that I did. And then there was another painting that I was working on. It was just kind of a playful thing. It ended up being really awful, but kind of in a pop art style, you know, Andy Warhol, with like the 4 different, like the same image in 4 different color schemes. And so I was kind of messing with some colors and just kind of planning out color schemes on this paper. And so, and that's all this was just, excuse me, hiccups, planning out color schemes. And the more I've looked at it, the more I'm like, that's kind of cool. Especially if I did that, but kind of took some of the elements that I did here. Like, if you can see this dark area here, that's just the blue. That's this exact same blue layered thinly over the red, which is then layered thinly back over the blue. And I've done some of that here with the orange as well. You can see little ghosts of the orange through areas like that. So I thought, if I did something like this with some of these elements, that could be super cool. And it just so happens that I have a huge wall in my living room that Vince and I have been talking about needs a new piece of art. And I have 2 big canvases that could hang side by side, and each one of them could easily take 2 of these pieces. It would fit right there on that wall. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Pretty excited about that, if you can't tell. Me and my abstract nerdery. But yeah, I'll share that with you guys if I get working on that soon and I have something interesting to share with you, because I'm pretty excited about it. Isn't abstract mostly in our head? I think so. I think that, yeah, I don't understand why people don't like abstract. I just don't understand it. I really think that it's the same thing as like a piano piece, you know? You listen to a piece of music played on a piano that doesn't have any words to it, and it's really just a bunch of sounds strung together. It's just like abstract art. It's just a bunch of colors and shapes strung together. And somehow you get some kind of a personal meaning or a feeling out of just like listening to a piece of piano music. So I don't understand why there's such hatred for abstract. I would say the vast majority of people I know who, you know, are any kind of art appreciators, they don't like abstract. Let's see. How do you teach abstract? It's hard. You know, I tried really hard to kind of impart a lot of my feelings of abstract, as well as teaching some techniques in the last abstract video I did a few months ago, but did anybody watch it? No. So half of you are probably going, she did an abstract video a few months ago? Yeah, I did. You like my bird. Thanks, Katrina. Thanks. Birds are so hit and miss for me. I love painting birds. But sometimes I feel like they turn out really good, and sometimes I feel like they turn out like junk. I like this bird that I showed you, but I think he's about 50-50. Hang on a second. Hey, Olaf, you need to get out. He's bugging Mama while she's working.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I guess close the door. It's going to get hot in here, but he's not going to stop coming in here. He's got allergies. He's had allergies ever since he was a puppy. And Vince, will you close the door, please?
I can keep him in here.
No, just close the door, please. So he's always on medication and Benadryl and everything, but he still like scratches and chews at his feet and everything. I don't need to listen to that while I'm broadcasting. I listen to it enough without that. Bye, Olaf. But understand that he is quite loved, and he knows he is, but he cannot lay behind me and go while I'm working, because that doesn't work out for me. Okay, so we've been going about 43 minutes, so I'll show you a couple of the other things that I've been working on. Oh, Gretchen, I watched more than once. I have trouble with color choice. So we should do... See, you guys, there's so many things that I want to do, that I want to teach you guys. You know, the artist and teacher side of me says, hey, we need to go over these things. But the business side of me, and unfortunately I do have to have a business side of me, the business side of me says, I wouldn't do that. Because when I get a video that doesn't get viewed very much, it impacts everything else. So if I release a video like the rainbow sky one, I already knew that one was not going to be a popular video, and it hasn't been. And I figured it was okay because I'm going on 4 weeks where I'm not putting anything out. But if I have a video that doesn't do well, my next video in turn won't do well. And, based on the YouTube algorithms. So I know that if I release a color theory video, about 25% of my regular viewership is going to watch that video. That's going to really have a negative impact on how well my next video does. And so while I really want to focus on these things and I want to teach these things, at the same time, if I do put focus into that, my channel's going to die and nobody's going to keep watching my videos, So it's coming up with creative ways to get that kind of information out to you. But, we can kind of talk about that. Let's jump back over to here and talk about... Let's go over just a little bit of color theory, because I know that that's something that a lot of people have questions on. Let me grab my color wheel. That is almost... Oh, my poor color wheel is all getting mushed and crinkled and everything. Okay, so I'll kind of discuss some of my color choices here, okay? So on this one in particular, I chose, you see I've got red, I've got orange, I've got kind of this aqua teal, black and white. Black and white, that's easy. We know that black and white are opposites. They're contrasting colors. Contrast is interesting. So black and white are always good options for, abstracts or when you're just wanting some contrast. Black and white. Not only do they contrast, like color-wise, they're not colors, but they contrast in value. So... white being the lightest value possible, black being the darkest value possible. So they're like the perfect contrast, perfect complements. Red, the opposite of red is green. However, this is cadmium red medium, which is a very, very warm red. So it's like a very red orange. It really is pretty close to orange. So I chose that color. Well, if green, and this is all thought process that was going on while I was choosing these colors. I very specifically chose these colors. So if red is the opposite of green, as we move toward the yellow, our green is going to start getting bluer. Okay? So, you know, like if I chose this orange, then it would be even more blue. And obviously there's some wiggle room in here. I mean, these are, color wheels are really just like tools and examples. You can go whichever direction you really want. But with my orange-red, I chose this very, it's kind of a blue-green, like an aqua. It might be leaning a little bit more toward the blue than my color wheel says would match this color, but that's okay. Because I know that when I put these two colors next to each other, they harmonize really, really well. These colors, it looks horrible on my computer anyway. It looks like a mint green. It's much more blue aqua in person. So I chose that color because it's basically the complement on the color wheel, but also it contrasts in value. So it's lighter. This is a lighter color than this. Remember I said that if you like squint until you almost can't see it anymore, then you can really kind of take in the values. And I can tell that this color's lighter than this. So it contrasts in two ways. In the color value and in the in the color and in the value. I chose the orange because the orange is analogous to this color, meaning it's right next to it on the color wheel. This orange is probably a little closer to right there, but it's close enough. Also, so I've got kind of this, it's not split complementary. We talked about it. I mentioned it to you guys a while ago, and I couldn't remember what it was called. I need to figure that out. When you take two colors that are analogous and directly across from them, you kind of take a color that is the complement of both of them. And so that's kind of what I have here. It's a long way of saying that. These two colors are analogous. They exist like that on the color wheel. This color is kind of the mix between both of their complements. So let me see if I can. I hope none of you are going, what is she talking about? I'm going to draw on my color wheel here. So if I say these are the colors I'm going to use, those two colors, then I can draw kind of a triangle. That looks like pizza. Yummy. And then find a color that's kind of halfway in between these two. So that's where this color scheme came from. Tell me if that totally made absolutely no sense, and we'll move on to this one. Can you do it during our viewing sessions? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do an abstract directed painting. We can probably do that here pretty quick. Gretchen gets it. Good. And color is individual. It really is. So all of these things that I tell you, they're not, I mean, there might be color rules, but rules are made to be broken. So know the rules, and that way you can at least consider them and say, oh, look, Jane said that if I take these two colors and the color that's kind of the mix directly across from it, that's a perfect complement. However, when I'm looking at this, I really feel like I want to see a bright, hot green in there instead. Go for it. Just because that doesn't follow the rule that I told you, doesn't mean you can't do it. You can do whatever you want to do. These are just kind of places where I start to say, okay, what's on the opposite end of that? Do I like that? If yes, I'm going to use it. If no, I'm going to keep looking and see if I can match another color with it somehow. And okay, let's go over this real quick, why I picked the colors that I picked here, and then I will show you guys a couple of like actual ways to use your color wheel. There are several, rules to help you pick colors, and so we'll go over a couple of those, okay? So what I did here was I knew the colors that I wanted for my backgrounds. I picked my backgrounds first. So I have my orange, my cobalt, this is quinacridone in white, and that vivid lime green. So I decided those are the colors that I wanted for my backgrounds. And in my images that I was going to put on top, I knew that each image needed 3 different colors. So I wanted to be very, very specific in how I picked those colors. So really the long lines here are colors that I felt they harmonized really well. And I feel like a color can have harmony even if it's not the exact complement. So here we have blue and orange. Obviously they're exact complements. So that is a complement. And right now I'm talking about these long stripes. Each one of these shapes represents like a different part that was supposed to be on the painting. But blue and red here, they're not complements, right? But I felt like there's like a color vibration is a term that a lot of people use. And I feel like that hot, hot red against that super vibrant, cool blue, there was like a vibration there. Like that, this harmony that was really super pleasing. So that didn't follow any, quote unquote rule on my color wheel, but it felt right to me. And so you can choose just what feels right to you. That's what felt right to me. Here is the same thing, the quinacridone in the green. That is a little bit closer to, what am I saying here? Oh, I just went brain dead. My nap brain came back. A complement. So quinacridone leans a little bit violet. And this green that I picked leans a little yellow. So that's a pretty good complement. The orange over here on the green, clearly they're not complements in any way. They're 2 colors away from each other on the color wheel. I just felt like they harmonized really well. So that's why I picked that. The little squares. The little squares really were more about value when I picked them than contrast. So we've got this kind of a faded purple. It's not as, they're also not as saturated. Sorry. Let's also notice that, meaning there's white added to them, which kind of brings down the saturation. This is the, let's see, where do I have it? This is it's not even. Anyway, you guys remember in the 30 Days of Art, we talked about saturation. So all of these little rectangles are desaturated. So this is a purple with some white in it. And so the desaturation contrasts with the full high saturation of this orange. Same thing here with the quinacridone and white against the blue. This aqua color I felt was a little desaturated looking against this color. And this is cadmium yellow with white. Very, very desaturated against the green. The dots, again, I picked these dots pretty much the same way I picked the lines. So some of them are contrasts. Some of them are just colors that I felt harmonized really, really well. But, if you're going to be doing an abstract and you want your focus to be color and you feel like you're going to struggle with that, just get a piece of, this is just printer paper. It's nothing fancy. It's just printer paper. And just mess around with some colors, some little color schemes. Find out what you like the best. It's super fun. You can do it while you sit and watch TV, because I did. And I think you'll come up with color combinations that you really like. And my camera's frozen up, isn't it? What is going on here? Why is my camera frozen up? Hang on, guys. That happens sometimes. And if my computer shuts down again like it did last week, I apologize. Hang out and we will be right back. There we go. Okay. I ranted at you for a while. Let's see what we have here in the way of questions. Okay, Deb said something really important and really interesting. So get your rant buttons ready. Deb, I swear, I think you do these things. You're just really good at this. You know what rant button to push. So here we go. Deb says, it's not easy to balance personal creativity with pleasing a customer base. Oh, thank you. I see where you were going with that. Yeah, so I kind of have to because, to an extent, I have to. But really, I don't. So, if you are an artist making art and selling, okay, let's say you're a regular artist with a regular, awesome career. You're not doing weird off the wall stuff like me. If that's your attitude about trying to balance your personal creativity with your customer base, then I feel like you might be making art for the wrong reasons. I think that we make art from ourselves. It comes from ourselves, and our audience will find us. And rather than us trying to chase a particular audience, I see what you did there. Yeah. So to an extent, I have done that. Yes, I have. But I feel like I have to. But then here I am doing do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, so to an extent, I do have to, do that. Somebody said to me about, oh, I bet you have all your paintings all over your walls. You must have your house decorated with all of your art. I have one painting that I have done that is hanging on my walls in my entire house. One painting. And, honestly, the reason for that is the art that I do in my videos, the vast majority of it is not like my personal taste. It is what I feel like you guys would want to see. If I did art that I want to do, you would probably stop watching my videos completely. So, yeah, it's hard. It is hard. But I do feel that making art from a place of who you are is more important and more meaningful than, trying to chase what people want. I do feel like what I do is a little bit different in that, people want to learn things, but they want to be able to hang it on their wall when they're done with it, or give it to mom, or, sell it to whoever. And my style may not be what they're looking for. So, yeah, I think you guys saw my scary naked lady on the wall there a few weeks ago. So that'll give you a little bit of an idea. All right, I guess I kind of lost steam on my own rant because I realized that I was ranting at myself. Let's move on. Anyway, thanks for that, Deb. Where are we? Here we go. There we go. All right. Do you ever have a plan when you start an abstract, or do you decide as you go? I never have a plan with an abstract. For me, I feel like that defeats the purpose. So I said that I wanted to kind of turn this into a painting, but even that, this is really like a starting idea. I can almost guarantee that it's going to be nothing like this in the end. You may very well look at the finished painting in the end and be like, really? It was inspired from that? Because when I'm painting abstract, I kind of just decide, all right, we're going to start there. Oh, what would look really cool with that is if I did this. No, that doesn't look good. And then I just go down these little, these little rabbit holes of decisions and experimentation. And that's what painting abstract is for me. It's just time to really kind of get lost in the process and experiment and play. So that's what I enjoy. Katrina thinks she's starting to find her art style. How did you find yours, and do you have any tips? So I'm not positive that I have found my art style, honestly. And if I'm going to be 100% honest, I think that that's where a lot of my decision to take a couple of weeks off came from because I so infrequently get to paint just for myself that I don't really know how I paint. I don't really know what kind of art I make. You know, I know what kind of art I make for you guys. I know how I paint when I'm painting for you guys. But aside from that, I don't really know what kind of an artist I am. So I wanted to kind of explore that. Excuse me. I've never really had allergies, but I feel like this year, like I've been sneezing so much and now my throat is really dry. So I wanted to explore that. And, you know, with that, I'm taking ideas that I have for paintings for you guys, and I'm just letting myself kind of get lost in them and work on them. Typically when I'm working on a painting for you guys, I'm like, okay, I can't use that technique because people always have a hard time with that. People hate it when I do this. They do like it when I do this. And this is quicker, so maybe we'll do it this way. And I have to use this color because the vast majority of people aren't going to have that color. And I'm going to get a trillion questions about, if I don't have that color, can I use this color? So there's all these other things that go on in my head when I'm trying to develop a painting for you. I'm trying to do it in a way that I can reproduce it in 2 hours or absolutely less. And make it as simple as possible to teach and for you to understand and learn and be able to replicate. Excuse me. Hang on one sec. Thank you. So, all this week, what I've been doing is taking a painting idea that I've had and painting it without regard to what's going to be easy to teach. What can I do in a certain amount of time? You know, what colors am I using? Does my audience have this color? Are they going to understand this color? Are they going to understand this technique? You know, all of those things. And it's really been eye-opening for me to kind of see areas where I feel like my style has noticeably developed and areas where there's big holes in it. In not only my style, but in my techniques, because to a certain extent, I have handicapped myself. You know, I hadn't been painting very long when I made my very first video, maybe 1.5 years. Not very long at all. And so really my development as an artist has been through teaching you guys. And so really what I've learned is what I've taught you. There hasn't been a whole lot of experimentation outside of that. So there are definitely gaps in my learning or in my technique or in my ability. And so it's kind of been fun this week to play with that and see, you know, where that is. And I'll be able to give myself the time to focus on that and hopefully fill some of those gaps. So I really believe that the time that I'm taking here away from broadcasting is going to help me be a better artist and hopefully a better teacher, so that when I come back in 4 weeks, I'm not like, hey guys, let's paint the same crap we've been painting for 3 years. What do you say? And you guys are like, she was gone for 4 weeks and this is what we get. I want to come back with the same type of attitude toward, you know, teaching you, how can I do this quickly? How can I do this in a way that they're going to understand? What's going to be the easiest technique to use? But with a few new tools under my belt so that I can give you guys those tools as well. So that was a long way of saying that I don't actually believe that I have a style yet. If I do, I don't know what it is. But I think that we are all overly worried about finding our style. I don't believe that you will find your style. I believe that your style will find you. So there's no need to worry about it. Paint the things that you enjoy painting. Use the materials you enjoy. Use the colors you enjoy. Use the tools you enjoy. Paint the subjects that you enjoy. All of those things together are going to become your style, and people will start to recognize your style. And I think that, you know, if you're way too focused on it, like, oh, I'm always gonna use this kind of brush stroke, and you like pigeonhole yourself into always using this kind of brush stroke, that I think you close the door on so many other types of brush strokes and techniques that you could be learning and using. So yeah, do not worry about finding a style. I think it will find you. Just, you know, narrow it down to only using and doing and painting the things that you enjoy, and it will naturally happen. That was a really long question, or a really long answer. Okay. And good. I'm glad that was good advice for you guys. I'm glad. Yeah, I'll always be open and honest with you, you know. I mean, yes, everything I said about why I'm taking a break is absolutely true. You know, I don't necessarily need to tell everyone in the entire world that I'm also taking some time to paint all for myself. So, but, I mean, it's not like I'm trying to hide that. We have a thumbs down? Seriously? Thumbs down make me laugh. Anyway, I'm glad that my honesty and my rant could elicit a thumbs down from somebody who pledges money to me every month. Anyway, one other thing I wanted to go over, and then, I mean, you guys have some time to go ahead and come up with some more questions, so I'm not ready to run out the door. But while you come up with some more questions, I am going to show you what I got yesterday. I'm really excited about it. No, it's not everything. It's only a couple of things. But I do have something that I can show you. Yay! So I should have probably gotten this ready before right now, but I didn't. Where's the other one? Oh, there it is. This is all I have right now, but hopefully that means that the rest is coming very, very quickly. So let's go over here. Oh, you guys, don't worry about thumbs up. You know, thumbs up and thumbs down don't actually do anything for or against me. It's just a way for me to see, you know, oh, do people like my videos or not? But, yeah, I think it's funny because I think that there's people who think that doing a thumbs down means like they're hurting me, but they're not hurting me. A couple weeks ago, somebody tore through my whole channel and gave me I got over 100 thumbs down one day, which is way out of the ordinary. And I thought it was hilarious because that didn't do anything negative to me. So it is brushes. Look, guys. Fan brushes. I told you they were coming. And look, with their little painting with Jane and the monster. So I got my fan brushes. They are in stock. Yes, I have more than 3. I have all of them that I ordered. And I got, this is my number 8 round brush. So that's exciting. Still waiting on the 10. And I got my 5/8 inch flat brush. So I'm still waiting on the 1/2 inch. So I'm still waiting on a few brushes. 1/2 inch, the number 10 round, and then the 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch filberts. So still a few more brushes, hopefully next week, and then they will go on sale, and I will make sure to give you guys a coupon code for them. So that's exciting. I've spent some time this week working on my website, just doing like a few updates. I kind of updated some of my photos. I know they're beautiful. They are beautiful. Yes, Katrina, the number 8 round and the number 10 round are fabulous for watercolor. And my brush manufacturer, he's like, yeah, but you know, you'll make more money if you make brushes that are specific for watercolor and then sell these ones as just acrylic brushes. And I was like, yeah, but that's also dishonest. And if I'm going to use it for watercolor, I'm just going to sell it to people and tell them they can use them for both. So, yeah, they are really, really nice for watercolor. Yeah, but if you look at my website, I updated my images on my listings. So I spent a day and took a bunch of new photos, which is one of the things that I've been wanting to work on for a long time. I made a new listing for like my essential brush set. So it's a set of all the brushes that I feel like are the essential brushes that if you paint with me a lot, you're probably going to want these. That one is not available yet because in it are my fan brushes and my 1/2 inch brights. I don't have the 1/2 inch brights in just yet. So that's coming. Doing tons of painting. Yeah, I've been really productive this week. It's been really, really nice. You guys are so funny. Oh, let's see. Let's see if we have any questions. And then we need to finish our cloud that dried. 3 of 7. Yep, not too bad. Hoping for the rest of them next week. Okay, let's see. That ugly cloud is dry. Let's get it gone, okay? And it might take us a minute. I'm not going to pretend like I'll be able to just go, ah, it's magic. That cloud is no longer there. It might happen, it might not, but I don't have expectations. All I have is patience and the willingness to try. Oh, that's good. Who is it who writes down all of my Jainisms? We write that one down because I just impressed myself with that. All right, so I'm going to mix up a color that's as close as possible to that first gray color. And see, since I'm mixing on my plate where I mixed it before, I can kind of compare it and get pretty close. It's okay if it's a little bit different. I'm not one of those people who has to have the exact same color. You know, I have a friend who buys, I always tease her because she buys gray paint in the tube, which I'm sure some of you guys do too, and that's perfectly fine. But I tease her because I can. And she says, I buy gray paint in the tube because I want a consistent color of gray. All right. I feel like I get a consistent color of gray without it. But all right. So gray paint, 1/2 foot pressure. I just kind of nudged it out. It's that light blending pressure though. It's 1/2 foot, but that super light touch. Like when you're trying to blend 2 colors together. Flip my brush over because the paint was going away. Just get a good bulk of that paint off of there. See, my color's a little different, so it didn't blend there. I'm going to get a tiny bit more white. And tiny bit of white. Put it on the edge. See how my brush is kind of flat? Paint on that side, not on that side. I'm going to put it on the edge. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my cloud top. Kind of roll it toward that paint. And that's going to be the perfect way to also hide the fact that my color wasn't a perfect match there. I'll just put a cloud top on it. Woohoo! There we go. See? I had a worm. But you'd never know it. You would never know. Well, there's kind of a worm there now, huh? You would never know that there was a worm there, would you? But see, if I had just thrown up my hands in frustration, then I would have never learned how to fix a worm. Or, you know, you learn other things too by accident. And those are the most valuable things to learn, is the by accident things. So let's say, and in fact, this is probably how I learned this. You know how I had this color that was darker right here, and I could see it in front of that cloud, and I was like, oh, that looks horrible. So I just put a cloud top, and now I have layered clouds. They're a little bit deeper. And, you know, I remember before when I was first doing clouds, they were all very separate. Very, very separate. And they never overlapped each other. But I probably learned how to do that because I had put a color trying to fix something that didn't quite match, and I had to cover it up. So, you know, you might not just learn how to fix the mistake that you just made. You might learn how to do something completely different that just kind of helps kick your art up into the next level. So, like I said, if you're already thinking, oh, I gotta paint over that because that looks terrible, then just spend some time messing with it and seeing if you can fix it. It's not a big deal. Let's see. If the brushes come in, they will take away from your personal painting time. Nah. They won't. I promise. The Lovebird and the Snowman. What are you talking about, Eileen? I missed that one. Oh, on my plate here, yeah, I had my little snowman bird. Yeah. I did, yeah. I impressed myself with something inspirational I said, and I forgot what it was already, too. Dang it. I said, did I say giggle snort? Oh, no, you said that. All right, I don't remember what I said, but I would like for somebody to remind me. That would be awesome. So, okay, guys. Well, I'll give you a couple more minutes if you've got any other questions that you just are dying to have answered, and then we will go. I don't know if I want to show you what I've been working on this week. I have been working on a painting that I've been wanting, like I said, that I've been wanting to bring to you guys in a video. But, you know, I wanted to be able to put some time into it and not just, like, knock it out, like, in a lame way. I wanted to do it awesome. So I spent all day long yesterday working on it, all day long, on and off. And then I'm working on it again today to just kind of correct some of the things that I didn't like about the way I did it the first time. Like I've always told you guys, never to be afraid to do that. So I can show you, but be aware that, yeah, I did spend on and off. I mean, I worked on it all day yesterday, but not all day consistently, consecutively. So if it ever comes to a tutorial, it is going to look quite a bit different because I won't be able to put hours and hours and hours into it. And you probably won't be able to see it because my lighting today is awful. So this is based on an image that I found on Pixabay, but let's see if you can see it a little bit. Yay. So there's a lot of things about this that I really don't like, but there's a lot of things about it that I was really happy with. So I'm just kind of taking the things I liked, making sure I'm doing them on my new canvas, taking the things I didn't like, making sure I'm doing them completely different. But yeah, so I've actually had this image, this photo from Pixabay in my pocket for about 6 months now. I've been wanting to do that. So hopefully when we come back, that'll be one of the first things we do. We'll see how it goes. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Oh, you guys like it. Good. Good. Yeah, so I am, again, working on it. I don't know if you can't really see it, but right here on my easel is another one that I'm working on. I just started it. So if I can get it to where I can knock it out in about 2 hours, we'll go ahead and do it in a video. The hard part is that I'm freehand drawing all of it. You know, the truck takes up the vast majority of the canvas. And so tracing it isn't really an option, but also, you know, I don't see anything wrong with tracing. But at some point, I feel like learning how to draw is a good skill to have, and tracing can get you started on that road, but then there's other steps to take, and so for me, I'm kind of focusing on gridding my work. So I've put 1-inch grids on the image, which I will share with you guys if we get to that point, and then I've drawn 1-inch grids on my canvas, and then drew the image on my canvas, and so it's a process, and that takes quite a while. So I need to figure out how to do that quicker, so that we can do that in a video. But yeah, that's it. A 2-part tutorial. I've thought about doing that. The problem with 2-part tutorials is everybody watches the first part and then like half of them come back for the second part. And so then again, when we talked about, if I have a video that doesn't do well one week, it impacts the next week as well. So that's something that I also have to kind of think about. And so balancing those kinds of things is really where a lot of my challenge comes from. So, yeah. What's your June daily challenge? Oh, practice drawing, simple stuff. So a grid, you guys, if you've never worked on a grid, you really should. Let me see if I can show you. I don't think you'll be able to see it. Oh, there it is. Hang on. I don't think you'll be able to tell. So what I did was in my photo editing software, I made sure that my image was at the same aspect ratio as my canvas, so 12 by 16. Because if it's like 11 by 14, which is a totally different aspect ratio, and I grid it in 1-inch grid, it's going to be totally different. It's not going to fit on my canvas properly. So made sure that my image was 12 by 16, and then I added grid lines to it. So you can kind of see the grid lines there. See the grid lines on the image? So I drew those grid lines on there, and then I drew them on my canvas, got a ruler, measured it out, and put the same grid lines on here. And then I can stand here and I can look at my image with my pencil, and like I'm looking at this one grid, and I draw exactly what I see in that one square and exactly what I see in the next square. And it makes drawing really, really easy. That's actually a trick that I learned in like 4th grade. I remember one of the assignments we had, my 4th grade art teacher was awesome. Awesome. And one of the assignments we had was, we had a picture. It was a very simple drawing. I keep wanting to say it was a lobster, but I feel like that would have been too difficult for 4th graders. But anyway, it was a picture of something like a lobster. And it had a grid on it. And the grid was like, 5 by 5 squares. And then we had another sheet of paper with 5 by 5 grids on it, but the grids were all shaped different. Like one was shorter and wider. One was, they were all just shaped a little bit different. And so we had to grid this image into these other boxes, making sure that it kind of occupied the space just like it does in this one. So if the line comes out of the corner of a grid square over here and it exits at the center point, then we had to do that. So, on these other grids, it would be really long and squished, and on other ones it would be stretched out. And it was a really, really interesting assignment. And maybe that's something that we can do sometime, if you guys won't be offended that I'm passing off my 4th grade art assignments to you. It was really helpful stuff. But yeah, if you've never used a grid, I highly recommend it. It really makes drawing so much easier. So much easier. And helps you, no, there's no math involved, Deb. It helps you learn how to draw more than tracing, I feel like. It is a little more time consuming. Donna agrees about grids. Good. And there's no math involved, you guys. It's just, you want to make sure that you look at your image in your editing software and say, all right, is it 12 by 16? Because my canvas is, okay, we're good. and it's 12 by 16. That's it. But also, like Eileen said, math is pretty awesome, guys. Math rocks. I do love me some math. I actually have a bachelor's in accounting. You vote for close enough. Does that count as abstract? Close enough counts in art. If you ask me, close enough is good enough. Deb's 4th grade teacher was a slacker. That's too bad. My 4th grade teacher actually introduced me to Van Gogh, and Van Gogh was his favorite artist, and he kind of looked like Van Gogh because he had red hair and a red beard, and yeah, we used to do some cool assignments in that class. Sometimes I wish I could go back to 4th grade art class, because that was pretty awesome. All right, well, if you guys don't have any more questions, then I'm going to let you go. I'm going to work on my painting a little bit more. And then, yeah, tomorrow's Father's Day in the U.S., so I hope that you guys, if you're doing anything for Father's Day, I hope you have an awesome time. And I will see you next Sunday. I'll come up with something fun to do. I don't know what yet, but we'll come up with something fun to do next week. And, let's see. Next week is the 23rd, so for the 15 plus Patreon people, we will probably do the directed painting on the 23rd, and then we'll do our viewing party, which we'll probably need to call something else during this 4 weeks on the 24th. So that's no Sunday. I'm sorry, Tan. I've tried so many other days and nobody ends up coming. It's like the day that I can get the most participation. But we can maybe mess with it sometime down the line. But all right, you guys. I love all of you as always. So I look forward to speaking with you every single week. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day and a good weekend. And I will see you next weekend. So leave me a question in the comments below if you're watching this after the fact and you come up with a question. So I will see you guys later.